This is a bonus video walking through a completing the square problem. Several of you will want to master this so that when you can make test corrections on Monday the 13th in class, you will know what you're doing. So the first thing that we want to do is set everything equal to 0. So I'm going to add the 2x squared over. I'm going to put it first so that when I write it, I will have 2x squared plus 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now, if I have a coefficient on my first term, that's called the leading coefficient, I'm going to have to divide everything through by 2. Do you see how I have a 0 over here? That's why I can divide it all by 2. So if we do everything divided by 2, I would get x squared plus 3 over 2 is a fraction that I don't like, plus 2 is equal to 0, but it's unavoidable, right? Okay, remember we have ax squared plus bx plus c. This number I call the junk number, and we do not need it at all, so we're going to pop that on the other side. X squared plus 3 over 2x. I'm going to leave room for my perfect number. And you might wonder, like, why, could I have left the 4 over there? I certainly could have and divided it. The junk number, though, the single number always goes there. We have our ax squared plus bx. Now I'm going to add in the perfect number here. Well, the perfect number is found by taking your b and taking half of b. So I'm going to go over here. We have 3 over 2. I'm going to take half of b. So now I have 3 over 4. And then I have to square it. So there's two things I do with b. I take half of it, or divide by 2, same thing, and then square it. And I would get 9/16. That's my perfect number that I need right here to make this a perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to add in 9/16. But in an equation, I just can't go adding in a number on one side unless I add it to the other side. Okay, there we go. And now we're ready to factor. So I'm going to write this as a perfect square. I take the square root of this front term, which is x. I look at the middle sign, that's my sign here, and I take the square root of this, which is 3/4. Now if I wrote this out twice and FOILed it, first, outer, inner, last, we would get this. If you don't believe me, you can try it. Over here we have a -2 plus 9/16. Oop, I didn't do this right. This is going to be a negative number, but that's okay. I need a common denominator, so I'm going to multiply 2 by 16 over 16. So I get -32 over 16 plus 9/16. And I'm going to write that, just simplify it right there. 32 minus 9, I believe that's a -23 over 16. All right, so now I have this quantity squared is equal to -23 over 16. I'm trying to solve for x. So our next step, see this, is to square root both sides. I'm going to square root that, and we get x plus 3/4 because the square root and the square cancel out is equal to, what is the square root of -23? That would be the square root of 23 and pull the I out. Square root of -1 is I. We can square root 16, that is 4. We're trying to solve for x. Can you guess the next step? Subtract 3/4, subtract 3/4. Luckily we have the common denominator. So we would have x is equal to, oops, I just remembered, I forgot one key piece. When we square root this number, we put a plus and a minus out front. Can't see my minus, but it's there. I'm going to write my real part first, -3/4 plus or minus the square root of 23i over 4. All right, I hope this helps.